NBA slate tonight. We are not going to complain that we had a bunch of Aberg and Dietrich and second guessed ourselves because there's a long ways to go left. But that's where I'm at. I've got my LACC hat on. I'm ready to go to the waste management next week, which should be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we have basketball tonight, and we're trying to decide what to do with the million different potential situations that are coming up. So Sheets, how are you doing? What's your thought process? What's going on?
I'm doing well, but I mean, everybody's gotta pay attention to the site. Everybody's gotta subscribe to the videos, and everybody's gotta, be a little less 100% focused on always NBA and always whatever, and just accept that when I put something up on the site, it's probably worth looking at. I don't put stuff up all the time, and that's one of my my goals. Whenever I put something up, before I decide whether it's worth putting up, and I put something up today that, to be quite honest, I thought it would get a little more attention than it did, but I mean, I guess nobody really cared. So I put up at like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock today. There was the LCS slate was locking, and I wanted to do a like a live stream where I looked at the ownership of the LCS slate and the and kind of compared uniqueness, because I thought it was kind of useful to do, and I used a sports projection site. I know it's not the most important thing in the world, but I figured I would do a recording, whatever. And then it so happened that at the time there was also a we play these pick sixes from time to time, these pick fives or whatever. And it was actually like live for something pretty good in like one race. So I figured I would just kind of like combine it like as a live sweat, just in case, something good happened there. And so it made a 19-minute video, which had about 10 minutes of the LCS and 10 minutes of me cashing for the whole pool at Gulfstream for $103,000.
Are you serious? Let's go. Are you kidding me? Let's go. This is amazing.
Recorded live, posted on Twitter, posted on sports racing and esports in our site, and nobody cared.
Oh my God. That's absolutely unbelievable, man. That's crazy. I missed
the result and actually sweated the whole stretch drive live. And I put it up on the site and I tweeted it and everything. And even Baitchuck comes in here and says, why does nobody care about this? I only beat the entire pool. It's not a big deal. It's like, so that's what I got going on. So that was all good news. And I'm ready to, like I said, get, and not to mention the fact that I'm in first place in that LCS thing that might pay $3,000 for first. So that's also really, really good.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So tell me exactly what that means to a layman. Like exactly how much you got to get 5 right? Is that what it is?
No, it was a jackpot pick 6 actually. It was pick 6, and you had to actually I should probably retitle that, because it was actually jackpot pick 6, not pick 5. And it's not even just hitting pick 6, because if you hit 6 and everybody else hits 6, you like split it with like a million people, and it's like terrible EV. But if you get it all by yourself, you get like the whole pool, which had been carrying over for like a couple of days. So we did it.
Unbelievable, man. That's absolutely incredible. You are the man. I'm like blown away. That's pretty sick. I'm sorry. I know you don't like that stuff, but I'm
no. And you know what? Like, me, I never really I never tweet about it, and then this time I did, and then nobody cared, so that's fine. I'll go back to never talking about it anymore. That's it.
Oh man, that's amazing.
That's it.
Now I have to like just address that. That's incredible. I didn't know what that's bigger than anything that we've got going. So
right? I mean, it's like and I was like kind of thinking, I mean, how listen, I know there's a lot of content out there. I don't think very many DFS content providers do the joint sweat of the LCS ownership uniqueness analysis with the jackpot pick 6 from Gulfstream. I really doubt that many people are doing that.
Oh my God! And I guarantee you, if they were doing it, they certainly didn't win it. So that is
no, it doesn't even matter. It's like more likely that they won it than they actually even did it at all.
100%. Yeah, but that's pretty crazy, man. That's Nuts. Unbelievable stuff. That's great to hear right off the bat. It's already a good show. It's a Friday. Good Friday for Sheets. That's awesome. I don't even want to ask you your NBA picks. They feel so irrelevant now compared to this.
Yeah, well, God, someone's got to pay for the NBA.
Well, maybe in that case, like I can take the maybe just give me the 100K at NBA. Then you don't need it.
Right.
You just got the pick. You got the pick 5/6, whatever we're calling it. That's amazing. He does post them. He just did a live show. Get Shrek. Like he does do this. This is if you are not paying attention to what Sheets does. And by the way, I'll just save Sheets the time in saying this. I can't promise you for every single horse race or for every single thing he'll always be there. But when he's there, listen to him. Just listen to him. That's it. Anyway, awesome stuff, Sheets. I don't even know what to talk about right now. I guess we can talk about Miles Turner's injury, but like it feels relevant.
Let's talk about what's really important, and that is whether my LCS lineup holds for 3,000. But if we're not going to do that, let's talk about the NBA slate.
I guess we have to talk about the NBA slate because I actually think I have like about 3,000 invested, so I need something to happen here with this.
Yeah. So nothing. So I just redid the projections or whatever, and I'm facing the same dilemmas. You know, I'm getting Lou Dort, Jonathan Kuminga, Kevin Herter, Fred VanVleet, and Aaron Wiggins. You know, all showing good values, and then you got Shea and Sengun. So the question again I put to you is, you know, how big, and then by the way, as we suspected, the Wembanyama ownership is creeping. It's like.
Knew that was coming.
You knew that was coming, and then how? So what are you doing with this OKC blowout situation? It's a big deal.
Yeah. So I think you play. That's exactly where I think you start your slate. Is that you decide what you think happens. Well, it's part of where you start your slate. What you think happens in that game. And I have lineups built towards both. If the game stays close, you're going to get a ton of close enough, I should say. The guys on Charlotte are going to have to go nuts. You have Cody Martin getting a little bit of ownership, but nobody else really getting any ownership on DraftKings. All of these guys, Nick Richards, I think is a very strong play. Cody Martin, if the game's close, solid play. I don't think it's like an amazing play, but it's solid. But then you're playing Miles Bridges, which can't feel bad. This guy has an immense ceiling. Brandon Miller and PJ Washington, and I think if you're going to try to stack the game, I think you can get 3 or 4 from Charlotte. I think 3 is my ideal number, and I think you have the weird runbacks on the other side, but I would skip the Wiggins and Williams in those builds, and I would play the Dort and either Giddey, who I feel like is being under-owned, or Shea, who's going to get ownership. But then that's your natural 5-man, and then you use the value elsewhere if you think the game stays close. So I just have them built both ways. Most of the time, I'm going to build towards the OKC blowout angle a little bit. I also think the OKC players, similar to as I mentioned about Utah every night, are being a little bit. It's not even they're over projected. They're going to be just a little bit over-owned.
So I don't want to interrupt, but only in case you didn't hear this news, because I'm just seeing it on my sheets.
Yeah.
You know, Miles Turner is out.
Miles Turner is out. That's why we're deciding.
Okay, I didn't have that in my projections. That's the only reason I mentioned it.
Yeah, it changed just recently. Sorry, it was about 5:45 Eastern.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit earlier. But Miles Turner being out, we just have to know about Jalen Smith. Because if he plays, then he is in an incredible spot. If he doesn't play, then a guy who literally was projecting for less than a fantasy point tonight might be the play of the night in Isaiah Jackson. He still might be. And then you also have to factor in that really helps Siakam. It really just helps everyone else because
you're saying that Jalen Smith is questionable.
Yeah, he's questionable still.
I mean, legit question.
Yeah.
All right. So
legit, I think, yeah.
So like I said, the slate doesn't even exist until that news comes out, right?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, couldn't have said it better. The only thing is like who they're starting is probably pretty important. It also solidifies, unfortunately, this is going to do what I was afraid it was going to do earlier, because I was like, okay, I'll do the 10-4 low owned Sabonis thing. I don't think there's going to be any low ownership on Sabonis, unfortunately, because I love Sabonis on both sides. I also do still like Kevin Huerter, and I like Keegan Murray as a lower owned option. I also like De'Aaron Fox. So all of these guys between both sites are in my lineups. And my favorite just get weird play. Nobody, like, I understand, build the chalk everywhere else. You should have one Malik Monk lineup in your repertoire.
Well, that's interesting.
It shouldn't be in the big buy-in. It shouldn't be your favorite play. But it is interesting that zero ownership against the best matchup in basketball, all because of a 3-game recency bias, feels a little too extreme at 5,300 for a guy who can put up 40 or 50. So that's my get weird one. But yeah, the Sacramento Indiana game is looking much more stackable with that news. If somehow Halliburton were to sit too, I don't even know what to do because they just have so many guys. Mathurin is in, so okay. That hurts the Buddy Hield. Even though I still like Buddy Hield fine. That hurts the Neesmith a little bit, even though, again, still fine. But it just hurts them a little bit. So, Jalen Smith is going to be the best projected player, assuming that he's in on the slate.
Oh, I'm running this right now, and I'm getting 100.
100. It'll be 100, yeah.
I'm getting 100, and I'm still getting – it looks like I'm still getting 100 or pretty close to it of Van Vliet and Dort. Actually, not so much Dort anymore, but Van Vliet still.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time getting off of the Van Vliet myself. I think there's some really easy ways to do it. And again, this feels like a slate that's going to be decided, even though it's only a 1 hour difference. I still feel like it might be decided after lock. We still have Şengün questionable, but man, if people really don't want to play Jalen Green again, I'll play Jalen Green. In fact, if Şengün's out, I'll play Jalen Green and Van.
Jalen Green. I thought we were talking about Jeff Green.
No, Jalen Green.
Oh, that's why I was joking. I'm like, oh, do we have to play Jeff Green again? Okay, that's why I was like, what the hell are you really playing Green for? That we haven't learned our lesson? You meant Jalen Green. Okay.
Yeah, I meant Jalen.
Okay.
I'm just going to go through his recent numbers, okay? 38, 59, 38, 64, 53. Those are his last 4 games. Now he's got a great matchup and they're at home, and he tends to play more than the other guys do when they have that 15-point lead, 10, 12, 15. Jalen Green, because he will be less owned because of the love for Van Vliet, which I think is appropriate, I'm going to offer up that why not play them both or play Jalen Green as a pivot. But unfortunately, because of the suspicion about what's his name, he's going to have some ownership. The suspicion about Şengün, he's going to have some ownership. Rody says he's seeing Jalen Green with a big ownership projection. I see Jalen Green projected at 35 fantasy points. See, Goldie's got him a little higher, which is probably accurate right now. What it comes down to people actually clicking, I think that they'll click Van Vliet a lot more, but I think you could play both of those guys. So whether or not they're good, it's not a dart Jalen Green anymore. This is like a new role. It's a great matchup. Jalen Green and Van Vliet, but it is Van Vliet's first time facing Toronto. It kind of feels like his night for me. So I'm in on Van Vliet, but I do want to throw out that Jalen Green is going to be overlooked to some extent. He'll just be lower owned than Van Vliet if Şengün is in. If Şengün is out, they're both going to be owned a ton. Rody's asking, what are the best games to target for the night? Well, the problem is, so I've got a list of what I thought you have to do. I think you have to play somebody from Indiana, whether that be Jalen Smith, whether that be Isaiah Jackson. I think the loss of Turner is big enough in the front court against Sacramento at home on a back-to-back where I am probably just going to force in whether it's Obi Toppin, who's not going to project great. I'll play Jalen Smith right now, but one of these guys is probably Jalen. Right now, it's Jalen Smith.
Yeah.
But I think you have to play one Indiana. I think you should be playing one Pelican until we hear Zion news, and at least because I think you want to be playing Brandon Ingram if Zion's out. All he does is smash every single time. Let's just play Brandon Ingram if Zion's out, and Trey Murphy probably Trey Murphy possibly even if Zion's in. Then you have the Heat in the best matchup in sports. You get to play in Washington. Everybody, I'm not playing the Richardson thing so much today. I don't mind it, but I personally really like. It feels like a good matchup for Tyler Hero. I understand there's going to be ownership there. I also think that Bam and Jimmy Butler are in consideration, so I like the idea of one of them. The Clippers in an amazing spot against Detroit. I like the idea of getting to one of them. So I actually have a lot of different things, and I really like at least Wemby from the Spurs. And I think you could include all the Spurs in your builds without Keldon Johnson. We saw the big game from Sohan the other night. Trey Jones looks really good. Chetty Osman at 3,500. I think I'm more likely to do that than I am the Josh Richardson thing personally. But I like the idea of getting the Spurs. And then you get into, look, we already talked about it. There's a lot of really good plays. It's just trying to find maybe the slightly better plays or maybe the slight pivots. But there's a lot of really good plays. Like I didn't even mention Kuminga and Herter, who look really great. But I think that you can get that from so many other places that's so much lower ownership. That's the way I'm probably going to gamble, is use those, the play Aldama in a different, it's not Aldama versus Herter, but like similar price range. Wiggins, who I actually like because the blowout angle possibly, but maybe instead of him, Chetty and him are pretty closely owned. Pick one of those two, play some Keegan Murray where no one's going to play him. I'm trying to again find get different ways, but overall I mostly, as you probably should, like the chalk. I have 100% Van Vliet right now. I have 55% Wembanyama. I have 50% Jalen Williams from Jalen with a Y from OKC because they're down a man, and I think that the game could be a blowout. I still have 50% Wiggins right now, but I'm probably going to change that. Hero, I've got 50%, and I've got 50% Sabonis. Gonna be making some changes, but these are just things that crossed my radar today. So I wanted to mention some of the good names and some of the get different names.
It would be nice. Actually, it's not a big deal. Instead of having a queue by these like Draymond Green, if he's probable, just put it in.
What's that? Put him as what?
Just take the queue off these probable. It's like.
Yeah, I agree with that. At least make it a P. Like, do something with it.
Yeah. So Zion is a partial participant in practice.
But I don't know if that's still a probable.
I don't know. It says he's questionable.
Yeah, that's a legit questionable. Like, I wouldn't put that, even with the participant in practice for him. Because, like, the limited participant for him, we've seen that before. If it was like, okay, like, I don't know I don't know who's a good example of this, but maybe Şengün, who doesn't miss a game. If he was a limited participant, you just assume he's playing. All right, so what else? Let's see. Şengün is in officially. Okay, so thank you, K9, because I did not get that. So Şengün is in. Man, I really like all of these rock sheets. This could be your night. It looks like the Rockets all look pretty good.
That's funny.
It's the Rockets
and the Brewers.
Play the Diamondbacks with the Rockets tonight.
I was going to say the Brewers, but yeah, same thing.
The Diamondbacks, and then also you get the pick six on top of it, and then who knows? There's got to be some sort of parlay you could work in.
That's right.
I don't even know how to focus on everything else. You got me too excited about that. That's not like a small.
No. But the funny thing was that I literally was doing just the LCS thing because I just wanted to just see if it was like worth putting up there. And then I remembered, and I didn't know whether I wanted to start it because I knew it was like 12 minutes till the horse race. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll stream that thing also and see how it goes.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. That's just awesome.
Definitely fun.
We got Banks, one of our subscribers, asking if you'll post an updated FanDuel build. I can do it if you don't want to. I think I can know how to do it now.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean like a SaberSim build?
I think so.
I'll do that.
Give us a tournament, Banks. Give us a tournament.
I did it for the fadeaway 20 lineups. I'll show you what that looks like if you want.
Yeah, let's see that.
Let's share my screen. Hold on.
I don't think there's any way Scheffler's not going to win this tournament.
The good thing about it being a no cut is that I have 2 more days.
It doesn't even matter. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. So this is what FanDuel would look like, but you know what? Just is a matter of process. Let's start over. Okay. All right. So to do that for FanDuel, we're just going to use the SaberSim ownerships. You know what? This is a kind of a cool way to cheat. So if you want to use the TrueDFS ownerships, but know that I don't have the Pacer stuff right, what you can do is you start with the TrueDFS ones, and you can do this right from online or wherever. And then what you can do is just go into Indiana itself and just change the Indiana ones.
Yeah.
So what you're getting then is the TrueDFS projections for everything except for Indiana, and then you're going to get the Indiana ones for Indiana, and that's
right.
Pretty freaking reasonable. Let's see, and let's see what kind of ownership are we getting on Jalen Smith. It started with 24%. We'll see what actually happens, but it's got to be more than that, I would imagine. But that's what I have him for now. So let's build. I don't know. Let's build 150 just for the hell of it. Okay?
Yeah, why not?
We'll build 150.
He's saying 25 single entries. Let me see that.
Oh, what do you want? Single entries?
Yeah, single entry. He said $25.
Well, that's fine, because what's cool about it is that we're building our normal set of lineups, and then we'll sim it to that exact contest in a second. So again, all we're doing is providing a pool of 5,000 to choose from, and then all that happens when you're doing these sims is you're just re-ranking these same 5,000 lineups based on what tournament best suits them. Is that something in these 5,000 is going to fit everything? Like that's kind of the implication, and I guess that makes some sense. So if I were in the tournament, like within the contest thing, I could be able to right click it and save the contest sim information from there, but we do not. So let's see if it's already in here. So contest sim settings. Let's see if FanDuel they save them. I know they save a whole bunch of them on DraftKings, but let's see if they. Yeah, so here it is. So what do you want? The single entry? So you see they have these little drop downs here. So you go flagship single entry, and then we could just call it single entry, save settings, and it has, just so you know, and you'll see this show up in a second. So just so you see what this is, it puts in the contest size, the percent to first, percent entries played, and paid, and how many sims you want to run. So if this is not right, like if it's going to be less than 10,000 people, let's say it's 1,000 people. We'll do it with 1,000 people. You can just change it a little bit, and it's going to affect, the whatchamacallit, the results a little bit. Mm-hmm. So okay, so now you click this thing that says run contest sims, and it's just going to run it. I'm just going to run it for this one. I'm not going to run it for the shot. I'm not going to run it for the monster. We're just going to do it exactly for what you're doing. Now it's going to show 150 lineups, but that obviously you can't play 150 in the single entry, but we'll see what it says. I mean, I could probably tell you what it's going to say, right? So actually, FanDuel I didn't look at yet. What do you think it's going to look? Do you think it's going to look something similar to this default lineup here? Let's see. All right. So what you do is you go into this drop down here, and again,
yeah, it looks similar.
So again, what we have again is 5,000 lineups in the background. And all you're trying to figure out is how to rank them. Like if you just want to rank them by Saber score, you could just do this, okay? And the lineups would look like this. If you wanted to rate them by, say, something else, like just projected score, we could do that, and it would be different lineups in there. Now I have this just on Indiana, okay? But what we want to do is we want to rate them based on what they expect the people in the single entry thing to play. So we go single entry, risk-adjusted ROI, and this is like kind of your candidate of lineup. So if you just want to put in your best single entry lineup according to the Sims, this is as of 6:24 p.m. What it would be, and then what would be interesting is whether you would just go with this or do something else. Like for example, when you look at this, like the difference between this one and some of the others, this one projects 294, and what's interesting is that the one that's rated first projected score 294. The one that's projected second is projecting 298, and the reason for that is because again we're rating them not by just projected score but by risk adjusted ROI. So this lineup, even though it projects on a median basis to less points, this one gets a little more leverage against the other lineups. And I'm trying to see if what's the big difference here is that it does not have Fox, it has Towns. And you see like Towns is 2% owned.
So did we get official word that, because Rudy Gobert got downgraded to questionable, and that's going to be a big portion of why Towns is going to show up?
Okay.
Which I think is actually like a legitimate, like I think he's probably sits, but I didn't get the official word, and maybe it happened while we were on the show.
And I like to kind of look at this. So like the one that has a little bit better, risk adjusted ROI actually has Shea instead of something like Kawhi and Siakam, but this is up to you. I mean, all these are kind of good, and you're really splitting hairs when you're just trying to play one lineup. And again, like if you wanted to instead re-rank these by ROI or something else, or what is the least amount of dupes, what is the best win rate, or whatever it is. Unfortunately, the answer, what you're going to ask is what's the best one? I don't know, and that's what's kind of cool about this whole thing is that nobody knows for sure. Jordan from SaberSim says that most people rate him by risk adjusted ROI. So, that's good enough for me. That's the way I start off. But, this is where you can put your takes in, if you don't like, Mike Conley, for example. Actually, not liking Mike Conley is going to be a problem because he's in a lot of lineups. No, that's all right. You get down to the fifth lineup. If you're not a Mike Conley fan, you can play this one, and so it's not as if you're kind of forced in to like playing just because the Sims like just spit out these things. You can still employ your own takes, but at least that at least you're in the ball game. Like if like, oh my God, here's Trey Murphy. I really want to play Trey Murphy. Then you could go to your first Trey Murphy lineup or whatever. So that's what the Sims would look like with the with FanDuel right now.
I love it.
But I mean, it's definitely much different than DraftKings. DraftKings really jams the Van Vliet like right up the wazoo. I mean, like it really. Wonder what is his price on FanDuel that makes him not such a big deal?
Wait, which
Van Vliet?
It's 70 something.
I guess
no, it's almost 8K, I think.
Oh, that's the answer then. Okay.
Look, that everything I've been doing lately on FanDuel that's worked has been playing. Yeah, he's 8K. Is basically just avoiding. You know what I mean? Like just thinking for ceiling.
Yeah, I'd be getting like in the single entry, for example, even on 150 lineups, it's like 4% like Van Vliet.
Right. So it makes you and I have had this conversation a million times before. I know there's a huge price gap. It's not like a similar because you have a very tight pricing on DraftKings. So of course Van Vliet's going to be more owned. But when you have a guy who's going to be probably like 40% owned on one site,
yeah,
and 2% owned on the other site, it's probably worth just playing him if he has a 60+ ceiling. If he's below.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I can't dispute it. I can't support it. You know what I mean? It's possible that just because the way pricing works, he's just terrible on FanDuel. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know the answer.
No, he's not. I feel like I kind of do like a little bit. Like
yeah.
I don't think it's as big of a gap. It's just a different way of playing. Like. Okay. You just have to like grit and like, okay, you're not just looking for your XYZ. And if you're max entering, it's very different
than
if you're playing like, okay, one big lineup in each. And I'm genuinely considering like trying to fade Van Vliet on DraftKings and playing him only on FanDuel, because that to me is just one simple way. Now, if it was a 4-gamer and it was that simple, I would have just done that last night. But on a 9-gamer, you don't really need to do that as much. You know what I mean? Because even if he gets there, other guys are going to get there too.
Yeah, I want to share something with you guys. So this is, I don't even know if this is actually up yet. I guess it is.
It's just up.
So what this is, just so you guys know, forget what this is. But what it is a tennis DFS scoring calculator, which is it's you're going to use this maybe 0 times in your life, but it's possible you use it like once every 6 months. And what this does is it calculates the score of DFS of a tennis player based on the data that you can get from ESPN. And you're like, well, why would you want that? Because doesn't DraftKings just do it automatically for you? It does, except it's like is that if there is a postponed match and they have to fight, if they play a replacement, a lucky loser, whatever, that match shows as postponed for like a day, okay? And they don't put the actual score up for like a day, and you actually have to hunt for online for the stats, and then manually kind of like count if you want to figure out what you rate to get, whatever it is. And for people like me who just can't, I'm not waiting. You know what I mean? I want to know what the hell I have. So right. I created this kind of spreadsheet that does this for me. And so I pull this up myself and I do this. The reason why it's important is that in addition to this thing, there are other tools that I have that I've been referring to for months. The GeoMean calculator that I refer to in my videos, they have something similar to this for the MMA or whatever it is, and just stupid stuff that I refer to that I've been threatening to put up on the site. But I didn't want to put it up in a format that everybody could just download. I want it to be able, I want you to be able to do it from the site. And Goldie has done a little bit of coding to figure out how to put this one up, which means it's very likely that he's going to figure out how to put the other ones up too. Which also means that other stuff that I can come up with will be able to put up on the site also. So
yeah, you have a bunch of really cool tools that we're trying to find a way to incorporate into the site. It's going to take a little bit of time, but it's happening.
Yeah.
Goldie's been awesome, and he's been on it, and we've got the guys from Pixelmain. It's going. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get everybody acclimated, but it's going really well. Yeah. John saying he's got a lot to learn, and everybody else is really appreciating the way you're going through all this.
So do I.
John, we all do. That's what I was going to say. This is us figuring it out. Like, you know what I mean? We're trying. It's a never-ending puzzle, and it's not going to change. Like, it's going to still be a puzzle. The same way poker is still a puzzle. And there's no exact right or wrong answer. It's trying to figure out the way to be the best you can for what's available. So it doesn't mean like you can't be the worst player around and win a tournament. And at the same time, you just want to strive to try and make the right decisions. I use last night's Jackson Hayes as an obvious example. But like, yeah, when you have one simple thing, it's a very clear example of like, okay, this groupthink mentality and projections to me is out of whack. And Sheets thought the same thing. That always feels good. Doesn't mean that he had to put up 40 fantasy points versus 13, but all you can try and do is get better, find the little avenues you can, and that's what we try to help everybody figure out.
I want to answer your question, Kenny. Kenny put in, he said, why do you want to use risk-adjusted ROI instead of just ROI? I've been using ROI and catching nicely every slate. All right, so you should know what my answer to the second point of that is. Whether you've been cashing every slate, whatever, it is of no interest to me at all. It's a question of what's the right process. The answer why I use risk-adjusted ROI instead of ROI, to be perfectly honest, is that's what the SaberSim guys tell me is best practice. If you go to the SaberSim, like the YouTube channel, they have like hours of videos on discussing why risk-adjusted ROI versus ROI. I don't really have the patience to get involved in it. But I think it has something to do with, again, that ROI doesn't take into account certain standard deviations of some of the players, and that's the best thing. But I hate to be glib about it. But the reason why I use risk-adjusted ROI as opposed to ROI is because, again, I'm trying to learn, and most of the people that seem to know what they're doing are using risk-adjusted ROI. Until I can figure out for myself that it shouldn't be that, I'm just going to continue to go with that. That's
Right.
that's I wish there was a better answer, but that's where I am right now with this. And this is very, very new. This whole process is very new. And all I can tell you is what I do. And listen, when I fiddle around with new improvements or ways to do it, I share it with you. I'm like, listen, remember I fiddled around with it in hockey and basketball with the idea that when you want to play these later games, or if there's news pending these later games, the idea is that it's important to be flexible. So maybe the later games should be bumped a little bit. So what I experimented with is just literally upgraded the team totals for every game that's late. So this way it would kind of filter down to whatever. And I was doing it for like 4 days in hockey before someone pointed out to me that that's not even a functionality, that it doesn't work in hockey when you put the team total. So I'm learning what screws up and what's whatever, so nobody has all the answers, and including me, especially me. So as I come up with stuff, I'll share it with you, and we'll all try to figure this out together.
Absolutely. I have to run to try to finish editing my lineup so I can update them in the premium Discord.
Anything on the Pacers yet, or no?
No. The longer it takes, the more I'm thinking Jalen Smith is going to play. But I genuinely know as much as you do, so we have no official word as far. Hold on, a new notification just came in.
What do we got?
No, nothing. I already knew that. It was Şengün is in. I really appreciate all the kind words from everybody, just saying they appreciate this process stuff. And Sheets, you're better at it than I am a lot of the time, and especially the way that you elaborate on it. I really think that it's really good for everybody, and I'm really happy that you guys appreciate it. Please click the like button. In the meantime, I'm going to get out of here. For the premium members, I am going to try to update my exposures. I'm just going to have to do a little fiddling because I haven't finished my lineups. And that's where we're at. And Scheffler is going to win another tournament. I know it's 2 days away, but just feel it coming.
Herb Jones, but he hasn't won one in a while.
So Trey Murphy for sure. Anyway, no, I know, but he looks great. He's tied for the lead now. You blink and you miss it. It's like 45.
Yeah.
Can I just read one thing before I get out of here? I just want to read Eric Cole's score from today.
I saw that.
It's hilarious. It's a birdie. This is in order: birdie, bogey, double bogey, eagle, par, birdie, par, birdie, and then par's out. Like who does that? That's just crazy. Man, it's a wild tournament, and it's going to get really wild on Sunday. So I encourage everybody to play people who are really good in the wind on Sunday for Showdown. That's the last thing I have.
Yeah.
Sheets, congratulations, man. That's awesome. I couldn't be more. I already feel like I won on this NBA slate, but
let's do it,
man.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right. Good luck, everybody.